and discover him and make him a power in your life. Without him, all of our efforts turn to ashes and our sun rises into darkest night. Without him, life is a meaningless drama with the decisive scenes missing. But with him, we are able to rise from the fatigue of despair to the buoyancy of hope. With him, we are able to rise from the midnight of desperation to the daybreak of joy. Saint Augustine was right. We were made for God, and we will be restless until we find him. Love yourself, if that means rational, healthy, and moral self-interest. You are commanded to do that. That is the length of life. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. You are commanded to do that. That is the breath of life. But never forget that there is a first and even greater commandment. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. This is the height of life. And when you do this, you will live the complete life.
In 1957, Dr. King, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, Reverend E.D. Nixon, Reverend Joseph Lowry, Mayor Rustin, and Ella Baker, and others founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, to combat bus segregation in the South. Dr. King and his speeches at mass meetings inspired children, teenagers, and young adults to participate in fighting injustice through nonviolent protest marches. While a student, Martin Luther King Jr. heard Dr. A.J. Hughes and Dr. Mordecai W. Johnson preach on the life of Mahatma Gandhi. This was Dr. King's introduction to Gandhi and nonviolence.
In the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the nonviolent approach does not immediately change the heart of the oppressor. It does something to the hearts and souls of those committed to it. It gives them new self-respect. It calls up resources of strength and courage that they did not know they had. Finally, it reaches the opponent and so stirs his conscience that reconciliation becomes becomes a reality.
Dr. King was arrested and taken to jail numerous times as a result of protest marches and trumped-up charges to harass him. But he went to jail with great courage and strength, all for the cost of those he did not know, and for what he believed and knew was right. He was hated by many who were in powerful positions. One of the villains of this true story is Eugene Bull Connor, Commissioner of Public Safety, who did all he could to torment Dr. King and the protesters.
In his letter from a Birmingham jail, Dr. King speaks of waiting. In the words of Rev Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., "For years now, we have heard the word wait. It rings in the ear of every Negro with piercing familiarity. Perhaps it is easy for those who have never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait, but when vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will and drown your sisters and brothers at whim, when you have seen hate-filled policemen curse, kick, and even kill your black brothers and sisters, when you see the vast majority of your 20 million Negro brothers smothering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of affluent society, when you are forever fighting a degenerating sense of nobodiness, then you will understand why we find it difficult to wait.
The year 1963 was very important, for it was the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slave. But 100 years later, in the words of Rev Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., 100 years since emancipation, the words of the Constitution had declared the black man and woman free. But life had told them they were a twice burdened people. They lived in the lowest stratum of society, and within it they were additionally imprisoned by caste of color.
This reality set the tone for the 1963 March on Washington. I am honored to say that my mother was one of the 250,000 people who traveled to Washington, D.C. to participate in the march, fighting for justice and equality. On August 28, 1963, at the March on Washington, standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Dr. King delivered the most important speech of the Civil Rights Movement and one of the greatest speeches in American history, I Have a Dream. In the words of Rev Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in an excerpt from his I Have a Dream speech, he says, I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream.
Yes.
It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with his vicious racist, with his governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls, his brothers and sisters. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. This is the faith that we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the hiking Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain, Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when it happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, when we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands in singing the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last! How to a wish before it can come true. You have to dream a dream before that dream can ever work for you. If you would gain an end, you first must make a start. To have the work in hand, you first must have it in your heart. There's an ancient law, as simple can be. You have to know the truth before